I know a lot of people say different. There'll be all sorts of views out there, but I'm telling you now, there are certain players, quite a few actually, not playing for the team. You can see it. They're not taking responsibility. They're hiding. They're not talking to each other. And if the manager and the coaching staff think a few tweaks here and there are going to fix things, then they're fooling themselves. Come on, fellas, don't fool yourselves.
Morning, Curtis.
Good morning.
Morning, Jude.
Morning, boss.
How's your weekend?
It was good. How's yours?
Yeah, good, thank you. How's Kate feeling now? Is she better?
Yeah, she's feeling a bit better.
Good, good. Another poor result for United.
Oh, I don't want to hear it.
Morning, Hina.
Morning.
Morning, guys. Morning. Morning, Em.
Morning, Richard. How was your weekend?
Yes, very nice, thank you. How was yours?
Don't ask.
Ah, yeah. Saw your Instagram story. Looked fun.
Don't embarrass me, Richard. Susan's waiting for you.
Thank you. Morning.
I did say I wasn't sure about the chairman, but I've decided it could be interesting.
You know, the Portville chairman called me directly to say how keen they are to have you join their board. He was clearly very impressed.
I appreciate the offer, but I've taken the Ninebanks role, so I'm sorted for now.
But keep in contact?
Yes.
Maybe next time.
Yes.
Great.
Oh, for sure. Stay in touch.
Thanks, love.
It's on account.
Good morning, Miss Perrin. Follow me, please.
Jane. Hi.
Richard, you can't just ignore it.
Why not? It's all made up. I never bullied her. And I certainly never sexually oppressed anyone, whatever that means.
Well, you wouldn't know, would you? It's just fun and games to you. I should know.
You got to be FD, didn't you? Oh, this bloody thing has never worked. Emily, love, can you get me a coffee? Do you want my scissors?
Oh, no, thanks.
Just the one, thanks.
And by the way, I got to be FD because I worked harder and longer than anybody else.
Mm-hmm. I might have had something to do with it. Look, that's just me. Look, there's no harm in it. I never bullied her or made her do anything she didn't want.
She never said you did. She said she felt harassed and pressured into massaging the numbers.
No, that's rubbish. Look, I was on her case because her numbers were poor and getting worse. That's my job. It's not always pleasant, but it's necessary, and I don't fake numbers, although I do occasionally try to improve them.
Yeah, tell me about it.
All within acceptable limits, Susan. My FD ensures that.
Well, I try to, God knows. But acceptable limits can look different to different people, you know?
Ah, thanks, Em. Thank you. Look, she's resigned. And she was pregnant, so she probably would have left anyway. Let it go. It's not like she was a friend of yours.
I just think we should be seen to do the right thing. There could be a claim.
Okay, fine. But I'm not worried. Speak to HR or whoever. Get someone independent in to investigate me. Why don't you put the bracelets on me? Take me down to the station.
For God's sakes, Richard, grow up.
No, send for the Inquisition. Stretched on the rack for the crime of being a male CEO. Now, can we get to the year-end forecast, please?
Speaking of torture, I've just sent you the latest.
I know. It's going to be tough for us to make our bonus this year, but let's not give up yet. You've promised that trip to Orlando to your family and your mum. And I've promised Alan I will at least slow the rate of decline. So, what can you do for me?
Good to see you again. Congratulations on your appointment, and welcome to Ninebanks.
I'm very pleased to be here.
I wouldn't sit there. Sir William's seat. He's quite particular. Old school, you know. But very good, really very good. Very supportive.
I'm sure he is. He did recruit you to lead the turnaround of Ninebanks.
Yes, well, something like that.
How's it going?
Okay. I've been here over 2 years now, and it's tough going, but we're making progress.
Only not as quickly as you or the markets would like? Or Sir William?
That's his job. He has a very clear vision of the future of Ninebanks and how fast he wants to get there. But I'm sure he'll tell you about that himself, if he hasn't already. Sorry, John. Going to be a little late for our meeting. I'll come and find you. That was our CFO, John Miller, by the way.
Oh, yes. I'm due to see him after this meeting. Looks like I might be a bit late, too.
I wouldn't worry about it. Anyway, what about you? I'm curious about what brings someone like you here. Former international equestrian, Oxford, Harvard, youngest chief executive at Grand Brand. Then walked away from it all.
Yes?
When I asked you about that last time, you said it wasn't about family, it was just time for a change. You didn't say why, though.
I wanted a portfolio career that I was in control of. I liked the idea of being an independent voice in more than one company. I want to be at the top tables. I make no apology for that.
Well, because we took on all the costs relating to the FabFX failure at the end of last year, bottom line numbers will look just about okay. But the underlying performance, it's dire.
But it's still a good business. I just need some more time to get at it. Can you buy me some?
What do you mean, buying more time?
You know exactly what I mean. Oh, but come on, Susan, you know the drill.
Richard, that kind of stuff doesn't always end well.
And regarding the legacy costs, we could release some of those old provisions. That would drop straight to the bottom line.
It's got nothing to do with the trading performance.
Just look at it for me, will you? Please? I need something to get me through year end.
No promises.
Thank you. I know I can count on you. That's what makes us such a good team.
I said no promises.
Truth is, Susan, if I was Alan, and I do hope to be in his position one day, I wouldn't be giving me much time. I'd be thinking about a sale.
The US activist investor Tom Temperley has confirmed that his company, Temperley Partners, has acquired just under 5% of Ninebanks PLC, stating that they're looking forward to talking to the Ninebanks board about how best to realise value for all shareholders. In early trading, Ninebanks shares are marginally down with the market. In other business news, we're hearing that Lord Everard, the chairman of pharmaceutical giant Beat Hayder, has agreed to chair the Prime Minister's new industry liaison group, which is expected to start meeting next month.
Turn that off, Samar.
And finally, in sport.
Morning, Kat.
Good morning.
She here?
She is.
Right. Wish me luck. Good morning, Jane. Nice to see you again. And good morning to you, Alan.
Good morning. We were just admiring your awards.
Ah, my little trophy collection. Forgive me. Alan gets bored with my war stories.
Very interesting, actually. Tells a tale.
Yes, well, some of them are pretty ancient now. Go back to when the city really was the city, you know? I like to think it's a career still progressing, though.
A distinguished career. And a well-deserved knighthood, I'm sure.
Jane and I have already said hello, Sir William. So shall we start?
So, let me formally welcome you to Ninebanks, Jane. We old hands look forward to you bringing a bit of youth and vigour to the board.
I'd like to think I can bring a bit more than that, actually, William.
Yes, well, good to have someone fresh on board. And a lady to boot.
I'm sure Jane will bring a great deal to the party, starting at Leadgate.
Yes, now, you see, Jane, there is something we'd like you to go and look at. A little bit unusual for a non-exec, but we think you might just fit the bill.
And a good introduction for you as well.
Even before I've attended my first board meeting? Go on.
We have a business unit called Leadgate, which is primarily an engineering coatings business, but it's also responsible for the rundown of our various legacy liabilities.
Bit of a millstone around our necks, actually. Gets in the way of our change program, which Alan is, or should be, focused on.
It's based near Manchester, run by a guy called Richard Moss, who I've worked with before. Some of the basics of the business are quite good. Brand loyalty and an innovative track record.
Not recently.
You saw that. They put a lot of faith and investment into a fancy new spray device, only to find that customers didn't want to pay for it. Wrote off a lot of costs last year.
Poor customer data?
Possibly. Or a bit blinded by the need to just produce something new. It's all a bit tired, in all honesty. The people
I've been there too long. If I had my way, they'd have been out of the door long ago.
I don't know why Richard hasn't dealt with that.
First half results looked okay from the outside.
Better than expected. But if something looks too good to be true, it probably is. And I do know Richard. I suspect there may be a little creative accounting in there.
Send internal audit in if you're worried.
Oh, we will, in due course. But there are some other things. First, we've received an anonymous call via our Speak Up hotline, alleging that to save money, Moss has wrongly stopped some environmental testing.
Well, he does need to get some cost out. And to be fair, I think we might have talked about that at the exec.
It also says he's bullying his reports to hit impossible targets. And there's a suggestion of some other funny stuff.
A woman sales executive recently resigned with a pretty emotional letter. To his credit, Richard has agreed that the allegations made against him are independently investigated. I suspect, under pressure from his FD, a feisty woman called Susan Alagosa. Worth getting to know her.
So you want me to go and openly investigate the letter and quietly investigate the Speak Up claims at the same time? Welcome to Ninebanks.
An unusual start, perhaps, but it's not the job of the non-exec to win popularity contests, you know? I think you may find that joining the board at Ninebanks is a bit of a step up from your previous roles, if you don't mind my saying so.
Well, I'm sure you know most of my previous board roles have been in the US, where things work a bit differently. You'll have to excuse me if it takes some time for me to adjust to the way you seem to do things here.
There's more. Richard is under pressure for me to deliver. To my surprise, he isn't. I want you to take the temperature of the business. Give us a view.
I'll need to do some homework.
Of course, but don't be too long. You're a fresh pair of eyes, but that doesn't last forever.
I must go. Meeting John Miller. More introductions. I'll let you know when I'm going to Leadgate.
Yes, you mentioned you'd be meeting John. I'd be interested in your view once you've spent some time with him.
Really? Not concerned about your CFO as well, are you?
No, nothing like that. Just interested in your view. While you're still that fresh pair of eyes. Interesting appointment, Sir William. Different approach.
Don't be a fool, Alan. It's called diversity. She can play about with Leadgate while you get on with Project Bertrand. And do get on with it, Alan, please.
Alan.
Richard. Morning. Got a moment? Just a quick one.
Yeah, morning. What can I do for you?
Just wanted to give you a heads up. You'll shortly be getting a visit from our newest non-exec director, a woman called Jane Perrin.
So I understand.
She's coming to talk to you about the lady that resigned. On the face of it, anyway. But be under no illusions. She'll be having a look at Leadgate generally.
Oh. I see.
So take it seriously. No bloody surprises, please. Just give her what she needs.
Yeah, of course, Alan.
I want her to come back here and report to Sir William and me that you are driving ahead with the transformation of Leadgate, and there is nothing else to see, okay?
Got it. You can count on me.
Can I, Richard? Not much evidence from where I'm sitting. Just so you know, the fact that you've blown any chance of earning a bonus this year doesn't bother me at all. One less sports car for you to waste it on. But if you think I gave up my chance of making some proper money in private equity for the privilege of earning less than $2 million a year working at Ninebanks and having to deal with Sir William bloody Brown, you don't know me as well as you think you do.
Alan, I'm on it. You know I'll deliver. And if you think it's my bonus that's motivating me, then you don't know me as well as you think you do either. I'm trying to save a good business here.
Fine. But just so you know, this woman is Sir William's appointment. He thinks she'll be a patsy. I'm pretty sure she won't be. So keep the little boy charm under wraps, okay?
Strictly business, Alan.
It had better be, Richard.
That was fun.
Went better than expected, to be fair.
Got your email, Susan. What do you mean, released a few environmental provisions?
Relax, David. Just sit down. Following our discussions about stopping the testing,
Which I did not agree with.
To which you were certainly party.
it was only logical to adjust the associated provisions.
You did this without asking me.
We didn't have an option. Once our view on the underlying liability changed, accounting standards require that the provisioning follow that.
But I'm the environmental manager. At least I was when I walked in here.
David, we definitely discussed this. You said that the gold standard would be to keep on testing forever, but given our good track record, entirely down to your stewardship and the need to cut costs, it would be acceptable to move to occasional sampling.
I didn't say that. At all. Nothing like. I said the only safe thing to do was to continue testing. You told me to go to occasional sampling, for which, incidentally, there is no budget.
Honestly, I'm really surprised. I thought you were fine with it.
Yeah, there are some emails that would confirm that, David.
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there bloody are. And I'm sure they support what you say. But don't try and tell me I agree with it. And don't put words in my mouth that I never said.
He never said not to stop.
He thinks he did. Maybe sometimes you have to listen to what people don't say.
Well, I don't deal in meaningful silences. He agreed to stop testing.
Give it a day or two. I'll have a word. In the meantime, I have this woman, Jane Perrin, coming to see me tomorrow to haul me over the coals about Holly's departure and to take a general look into my suitability for office, if I'm not mistaken.
Then you best turn on the charm, like you can. She wants to see me too. Do you think we should see her together?
No. No, best to do it separately. Oh, and maybe best to keep her little visit from David until I've had a word.
Yeah.
So, let's come on to the exec who resigned, Holly Thomas, the one who wrote the letter.
Yes. Susan and I agreed we should refer it for independent review. Wasn't expecting someone like you, though.
Your side of the story?
She's good, Holly. Been consistently good for years, I'm told. but her team haven't been performing recently. I thought things needed shaking up. Holly didn't. I think a lot of things need shaking up.
Go on.
Well, this isn't anything I haven't told Alan. We have a layer of management who've been in the business for years, lots of received wisdom, highly resistant to change.
And Holly was one such.
But actually, no. I saw her as part of the solution. Maybe that's why I was putting her under so much pressure. But she was too loyal to her team, and they wouldn't shift. It was a pretty robust series of exchanges, needed to be, but it damaged our relationship. I told her that if she wouldn't change things, I might have to change them for her.
So she felt threatened.
I wouldn't have said so. But maybe I'm wrong. Look, if this business is going to survive, I need a team of winners. Thing is, I like Holly. We had a good relationship at one time. At the end of our last meeting, things got a bit tense. I tried to... Well, I put my arm around her. It was only a gesture, but she didn't like it. Got a bit upset.
Upset? I'll bet she was.
It was only a gesture. Nothing more. But maybe she saw it differently.
I think she probably did, judging by her letter. Anything else?
No. No, not that I can think of. When you speak to Susan, she might say I'm a bit too tactile with women, a bit too familiar, but that's just me. It's part of my edge.
Are you sorry she resigned?
Yes and no, to be honest. As I said, I like her, and I'm sure she's feeling terrible, but in a way, it was a chance for me to get at that team. And you know, she's pregnant.
I did not. That was another problem looming for you then. I'll need to speak to her, you know, if she'll talk to me, that is.
Of course. Yeah, fine, send her my best. Genuinely. Just wish she'd talk to me.
Richard, do you know we've had a speak-up complaint about Leadgate?
No. No, I didn't. What about?
The gist is that Leadgate, specifically you, have been bullying your people into...
Bullying? Me?
One says you ordered crucial environmental testing to stop in order to save costs. And there's a general suggestion of a laddish culture, maybe even sexist.
Oh, and I suppose they mention my alcoholism and gambling habit.
Not yet, but if you want to tell me about them, I'll listen.
Sorry. Sorry, that was... Look, I think we've covered the harassment piece, from my point of view. You want to speak to others, I'm sure, that's fine. And as to the accounting, we had a rough year last year, but I'm driving hard for a much better year this year.
I didn't mention the accounting.
No. No, you didn't. You'll need to speak to Susan, but we didn't do anything that wouldn't pass muster with internal audit, or within acceptable limits, and I didn't bully anyone.
I'm not on a witch hunt, Richard. It's difficult for you. I can see that.
I know. I know, it's your job. Well, welcome to Leadgate.
Welcome to Ninebanks, actually. So, just to finish, the environmentals. Who's your environmental manager? David?
Blackett.
Yes, I'll need to speak to him.
Of course. Although I don't think he's around today. He didn't make the complaint, did he?
I don't know. And I wouldn't tell you if I did.
Well, the environmentals. This will take some time. Let's get another coffee. I'll walk you through it.
I was actually quite impressed.
Yes, he's a good operator. So why isn't he delivering, Jane?
The business is under huge pressure, much more than you realize when you sit here. But it gives the impression of being quite well run.
Not profitable, though.
No, it's not profitable, but he has plans, including a difficult culture shift.
Good morning, Kat. Coffee for me, please. And for Alan, too, I suspect. Jane.
Tea, no milk.
Thanks very much, Kat. Great timing as always.
Yes, thanks, Kat.
So you think it's all okay? The financials, I mean.
It's nothing that hasn't been done before, put it that way. John Miller was okay with it. And it's not hidden. Audit passed it, too.
Well, they would, wouldn't they? But a little too clever?
Maybe, but in a business under pressure, understandable. And it's a trick you can only pull once. It won't save the year-end numbers.
We have to hope the underlying trading performance improves for that. I'm not optimistic. Good intentions are all very well, but fine words butter no parsnips.
Well, that's one thing off the slate anyway. And did you touch on those other matters?
I did. He said he's sometimes been told off by Susan for being too tactile. And my guess is that's an understatement. But Susan wouldn't commit to saying he'd sexually harassed anyone. Doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but Richard doesn't think so. He was genuinely shocked at the allegation of bullying as well.
Okay, but what did you think?
There will be people who have felt bullied, but Richard won't see it.
And what about the woman who resigned?
Holly Thomas? She wouldn't meet, but we spoke on the phone. She said she absolutely did not want to pursue a complaint against Richard or anyone in the business. She regrets the way she left, but it was her decision.
That's a little odd, isn't it? Got a bit emotional and regrets it.
It's that kind of business. Part of the problem and its strength is that the people have all been there forever, and their family before them.
That's exactly how it feels.
Beyond my ken, I'm afraid. So, nothing to see, Jane?
I wouldn't say that, no. I think we need to take a closer interest in what's happening. There may be no fire, but there is some smoke. Let's come on to the environmentals.
Yes, I checked on that. As I thought, Richard brought it to the Ninebanks exec.
He did, well, he brought something to the exec. There was a long paper, but it's not entirely clear what exactly was decided. On the face of it, though, it's fine. They've been testing for leaks from these old tips for decades.
Yes, they report to the exec every year.
They did. I believe it's a bit more ad hoc now. There was quite a debate in the business about stopping the testing. In their minds, it's pure cost, no benefit. So they took the view, supported by their environmental guy, who I spoke to by phone, that they should stop it.
Which the exec signed off.
And then in the half-one numbers, they released some fairly sizable provisions.
Convenient.
But not necessarily unreasonable.
So, no further action required. Complaint properly investigated. Excellent. Move on.
Not quite. Somebody felt strongly enough to call in.
I think we've done enough for now.
We'll need a good story about those environmentals when we sell it. Maybe I should have a friendly word with Richard.
Yes, Alan, perhaps you should. And not so friendly at that. I don't want this or any other irrelevancies impacting on Project Bertrand. Just make sure, okay?
You think this is irrelevant? Then why did you ask me to look into it? What's Project Bertrand?
It is a worldwide acquisition in our consumer healthcare business, which I'm going to announce later this year. Complete game changer. Nothing derails Project Bertrand.
Long way to get it over the line still, Sir William.
Come on, Alan. You are on the team, aren't you? I am looking forward to personally ramming Bertrand down the throats of those bloody analysts who say I have failed to grow this company. Nothing derails Project Bertrand. Alan, you hear me?
Supportive, you said? Pretty pushy, too.
Well, like I also said, he knows what he wants. Look, Jane, can I offer you some advice? I know your role here is to be independent. But from my experience, if you get too independent with Sir William, you can easily end up outside the tent. And if you're not in the tent, you're no use to anyone. So be independent, of course. but also part of the team. You know, not too independent. I better get on. See you soon.
John, if you're looking for Alan, you've just missed him.
So, David, talk to Jane.
Yes, she called me.
What did you say?
I gave her your version of the truth, Richard, like the good team player I am. Unfortunately for me, it's not my version.
Meaning?
Meaning? I told her that we had many discussions about it, and eventually it was decided that the testing should stop. I didn't say I'd spoken out against it and that you hadn't listened.
We have different memories of that, David.
Damn right we do. But it's yours that counts and I'm shafted as a result.
It is my job to turn this business around, and that is what I'm doing. And I did listen to you. You agreed to stop testing.
I didn't. You drove right through me like you do with everyone. And now I've lied to a director.
I don't think you have.
Yes, I bloody have. I know it and you know it. And for you and to release some more to make your precious profits. Until one day something will happen and then we'll all be screwed. Something you don't know. Remember I mentioned a gas called HUFC?
Vaguely.
Cancel your next meeting. We're going for a drive. You know whose house that is? Holly Thomas's house. Well, I asked her and 3 other people I know if I could leave some basic testing equipment in confined areas in their properties.
All on your own? No one else knows about this?
All my own work. Obviously the folk involved know I'm looking for something, but they don't know what. The funny thing is, our formal testing wouldn't have found this because we were looking in the wrong place. I wasn't convinced myself that I would find anything. And for a while the results were inconclusive, but this week's numbers are all too clear, I'm afraid. It's there all right. And in more than trace quantities.
You're telling me toxic gas is leaking from one of our sites into people's houses? Into Holly's house? How many more?
I have no idea.
Jane Perrin.
Jane, Tom Temperley.
Tom, hi. Long time. How are you?
I saw you join the board at Ninebanks. It's a company we've been following for a while.
Our largest shareholder. Guess this isn't just a social call.
To get to the point, Jane, as a shareholder, we don't like the rumors we're hearing that you guys are thinking about an acquisition. A big acquisition.
Tom.
I know you can't comment. I'm not asking you to. But as a friend, I want you to know that we wouldn't see an acquisition as serving the interest of shareholders. Asset prices and consumer health care are seriously overheated already. Chasing them higher wouldn't be a smart thing to do at all.
I hear you.
Look, Jane, you don't need any lessons from me. When you look at the numbers, if you haven't already, you'll see for yourself. But your chairman, he's something else. So I want you to know that if you ever need us, we'll be there for you.
I'll certainly keep that in mind.
Please do. And hey, let me know when you're over next. Dinner on me, okay?
Morning.
Morning.
You'll be wondering why I've pulled you in at such short notice and have asked for legal input. We have a serious matter to address. Over to you, David.
Grace, you don't know this, but I was very much against the abandonment of the environmental testing last year. Richard and Susan remember it differently. And I'm beginning to wonder what I said myself.
No notes, please, Grace.
So the testing stopped. Well, nearly stopped.
As it turns out, David had a little solo project going on.
Can I explain? First, let's talk about HUFC. HUFC is a rare, odourless gas, generally harmless. To be honest, we don't know a lot about it, but there are studies on animals that suggest a link to cancers and possible birth defects, but nothing conclusive. You with me so far?
Can I just...
Now, this red area here is Ropslot, originally a sandstone quarry until we started dumping waste into it back in the 50s. And this blue area here is a sandstone spur to the north. Leadgate Estate is built on this sandstone spur.
But none of this is our land, right?
The red area, the old quarry is.
Can I have a copy of the map?
Just listen, will you?
Now, towards the end of testing, quite by accident, we found some traces of HUFC. I reported it, but nobody really took any notice. So I did some research. From such records as I could find, it appears that the quarry was filled with refrigeration lubricants, which were dumped at the north end, the Leadgate Estate end.
Presumably all done in a legally correct manner.
Oh yeah, all done in accordance with the best practice of the time. I don't think there was much regulation back then, but all done...
I'm sorry, where is all this going?
Yes, get on with it, David.
Well, natural breakdown of the lubricants that were dumped at the north end here can give rise to HUFC. Gases like HUFC can permeate sandstone. So where this is all going, Grace, is that I started to think there was a real possibility that HUFC could be present in residential housing.
That's a ridiculous conclusion, David. You couldn't know that.
You're right, Grace, I couldn't. And with no further testing allowed, I did some work on my own. Richard thinks I went rogue. Maybe he's right. Grace, I may have been misguided, and I may not have made myself heard properly, but I'm loyal to the business and my colleagues. And I couldn't just ignore the fact that people might be at risk. So I put some testing equipment in the houses of 4 people I know on the estate, and HUFC is there.
But there's no official testing as yet.
Does anybody else know about this?
Just the 4 of us currently.
If we accept what you've said, how many houses might be affected?
Don't know, Grace. Could be a few, could be a lot. There are about 300 houses in total on the estate.
But they can't all be affected.
Probably not, but they might be. And the people in them.
Any reports of increased incidents of cancer in the area? Birth defects? I guess we would have heard if there were.
I think that's probably right. But I wouldn't know how to ask the question. You could easily create absolute panic.
Obviously.
So what do you think we should say?
Say? About what? What would you say? We're not quite sure, but there might be a gas in your house which might cause cancer. which might have been generated by some material we might have put in a quarry 60 years ago, the claims would be piling up on my desk in days.
And what would people claim for?
Loss of property value, loss of facility, loss of fertility. Anything they can claim might be connected to the gas, which, given how little we seem to know about it, could be anything.
Property, bloody hell. What if they all become unsellable?
But if we say nothing, don't we make it worse?
If we say anything, we make it worse. And we haven't any verified facts.
Our usual position is complete transparency with our neighbours. But in this case, we don't yet have anything to say. The problem is, we'll need to find a way to verify my work without scaring everyone, which is why we need a plan before we say anything.
Obviously.
Okay. Okay, here's what I want. David, chapter and verse on how much gas you found, how many houses you think might be affected, and a risk assessment. As many facts as possible. Grace, I want to know our potential liability realistically and our insurance position. And Susan, speak to comms, work out how we might communicate, bearing in mind that this could all become stock exchange sensitive. All for the exec on Wednesday.
I assume you want me at the exec, Richard?
You and David, yes, but for this agenda item only. Susan will give you the timings.
Well, what do we say to head office?
At this stage, we don't say anything to anybody.
Well, I'll need to speak to our insurers, Richard, legally.
Nobody says anything to anybody without my say-so. Have you got that? Go!
David, the people whose houses you tested, are they expecting feedback?
Not yet.
Anyone we know?
Yes. Holly Thomas.
Your tea, madam.
Thank you.
Miss Perrin?
Yes, Holly. Please sit down.
Can I get you anything, madam?
Oh, just a cappuccino, please.
Thanks for meeting me.
You were very persistent. I wondered why.
My introduction to Ninebanks has been interesting. I was asked to look at some things at Leadgate that, when taken together, were beginning to cause concern. I've spoken to quite a few people. This is my second visit. Informal this time.
Have you spoken to Richard?
Yes, I have.
Well, I'm not sure I'll have anything very much to add in that case, but go ahead. Yeah, but be warned. I'm not just gonna throw Richard under a bus if that's what you're looking for.
No, that's not what we want at all. Ninebanks put him in to do a difficult job, and we want Richard to succeed.
What then?
There have been a series of flags raised, but I'm having difficulty finding any substance.
Look, Richard is a charismatic CEO put in by Alan Gower to do a difficult job. Leadgate is a sound business in a competitive environment. Alan drives Richard hard, Richard drives his people hard.
Including you?
Thank you. Look, Richard's like a lot of driven men. He can't bear the thought of failure. So he may appear empathetic, but it's only to get what he wants. He makes you feel like you're his guy so that you don't dare let him down. That's called soft bullying, Holly. And not in my case, it wasn't. I understood that. And everyone knows he likes the attention of women. Men like him do. Have you seen any complaints?
Did you make a complaint?
No, not me. I wrote a silly letter of resignation, but you know that.
Why did you resign, Holly?
That's personal, Jane. So?
No, there haven't been any direct complaints.
Oh, yes, there have. Look hard enough in head office and you'll find them buried somewhere. Anything else?
Just a few questions about sales.
I'm sure you've got all the figures.
Yes, but there were some clever things done at the end of the first half.
Ask Susan about that. She's Richard's go-to girl.
Your view?
Sales weren't great. And we had some new product disappointments that didn't help. Margins were the problem, really. That's why I suddenly wasn't Richard's favourite anymore. I couldn't get prices up quick enough, and the real problem was we couldn't get costs down. Going from being a top girl to off-fitting completely is... it's hard.
I see.
At the end of our last meeting, he did his thing. Put his arm around me like he does, and suddenly I just didn't need that anymore. So now you know. Richard is just doing his job his way. That's all.
Thank you, Holly.
Before I go, I don't suppose there's anything else I need to know?
I don't think so.
It's just... is there something going on with the old tip? Some sort of testing?
I'm not sure this is something we should be talking about. But as you've been so helpful, as you probably know, there was some debate last half about stopping the testing, or at least reducing it, when after all this time everything seems fine. In the end, the decision to reduce it was signed off by the environmental expert.
Right. Well, that's good then.
Well, if there's anything else, Holly, don't hesitate to call me. I better go. I'm meeting Susan for a drink.
Ah, my friend Susan. Give her my best, will you? Water.
Another glass of wine, madam.
Enjoy.
It's taken a lot for me to do this. I just felt I had to do something.
I can see it's difficult for you.
In my family, I'm the success story, the career woman. I don't want to lose it all.
Why did you come to me and not go up the functional route?
Have you met John Miller? I just thought, with you not being part of the old boys club, you know, you are independent, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
So I need for this to be off the record.
And I've told you I'll respect that.
So what will you do?
Let me recap what you've told me. You're under pressure from Richard to massage the year-end results in a way you're unhappy with. This includes releasing some more environmental provisions like you did at the half-year. You do know that I spoke to David Blackett and he confirmed he was happy to let that release go ahead.
Yeah, but he isn't.
And so you now tell me. You also tell me that he won't be happy with the second release, but Richard has told you not to mention it to him. Not least because David has been off doing some testing of his own, which suggests there might be some invisible gas in some houses that might originate from one of our tips.
David's very serious about it.
And so I understand. And you've authorized him to reactivate some boreholes for further testing.
Yes, but with the testing point at the tip, not in the houses, and with no extra money. and to keep it all to himself.
On the reasonable grounds that there's nothing to say until we have some facts, I suppose.
On the grounds that we'll kick it into the long grass because it's too bloody expensive to contemplate.
If I were Richard, I'd want facts before I acted.
Jane, we're not going to do anything except to focus on getting through the year-end results. This stuff is leaking into people's houses.
We don't know that, Susan.
What makes you think you're the right person for this job, Jane? What are you?
I'm an experienced non-executive director charged with bringing independent thought to Ninebanks. You know that.
Then why are you here? Because this is Leadgate, not Ninebanks. Are you sure you're looking in the right place?
I'll look at whatever I need to, Susan. Anything else?
The harassment matter. Ran into the sand.
I've talked to Ms. Thomas this afternoon. She does not wish any action to be taken in response to her letter.
Of course not.
Friend of yours?
Not particularly. But there would be other examples if you dug deep enough. I know other complaints have been made. Just no action taken.
Richard has had a warning shot. If there are complaints, we'll act on them.
So what will you do?
Bit difficult, given that you want to remain anonymous. I'll probably have a further word with Richard, and I would advise you to stick to your principles in preparing the accounts. Good FDs have to be able to stand up to their CEO.
And the environmental issue?
What environmental issue?
Right. Well, thank you, Jane. I had better be getting off home. Babysitting my niece.
Of course. Have a good evening.
I have no bloody idea, Alan. We have no reliable data as yet. No, none at all.
Keep it on tap. I will get something to you in the next couple of hours. It's the best I can do.
Yes, we will find out.
For goodness sake, John, do you not think I know this?
Yes, I did. No, look, yes, I can appreciate that.
Look, as soon as we finish here, we're just getting started now. Look, it may still be nothing.
Sorry, I'm really sorry.
We don't know at this stage. About 300, we believe. Buy them all. Why the hell would we buy them all? Really? On the basis of one rogue story? Okay, Alan, yeah. I'll get you something by noon. Our lords and masters are, it would appear, displeased. Presume you all got the same career-limiting message? So, according to the local press, we are willfully filling our neighbours' homes with a poison gas. Head office is swamped with media inquiries they can't answer. Our share price is down and falling. And we need to make an urgent announcement about what we're going to do. When the truth is, we don't know anything and have no clue about what we need to do. But before we get to all of that, as a matter of polite interest, how the fuck did this get out?
Apparently, Holly Thomas spoke to the Courant.
How do you know?
The reporter is making no secret of it. Apparently.
Holly. God. Holly! David?
Not me, Richard. Probably should have done, but I didn't.
You sure, David? The do-gooder in you didn't get the better of all that loyalty?
I stayed silent as we agreed. There's no reliable data as yet.
Well, if not you. Didn't get an attack of lawyer's conscience, did we, Grace?
No, I didn't.
Come on, Grace. What was it? Little girly chat down the tennis club?
No. I admit I am concerned about Holly and I do speak to her, but no, I wouldn't.
Wouldn't what? Dare? No, you're probably right. I haven't got the spine for it. Well, only the four of us knew. And it wasn't me, and it couldn't have been Susan. So
it could have been me or David, but not Susan?
Yeah. Why couldn't it have been me?
Well, because you didn't think she was any good. You were the one that wanted her gone.
You're right. I didn't think much of her. But it was me that told her. Although I never imagined she would go to the press.
Susan.
I finally discovered a conscience, I guess. Now you, more than anyone, knows how much this job means to me. How hard I've worked to get here. You appointed me to work with you, to be your right hand, and I was so pleased. I looked up to you so much. But it ain't like it says on the tin, is it, Richard? And I've been pushed into doing things I was just too weak to refuse.
We've released provisions we shouldn't have, we play fast and loose with rebates, and
I have seen some of your behaviour around women. And I've done nothing. I've seen people reach breaking point under pressure from you, including Holly.
Thank you, Susan.
I've not finished yet, Richard, and you will listen for once. And now we're not going to tell anyone about HUFC. We're just going to let it accumulate in people's houses.
Susan, we are reinstating the testing.
Oh, David. Do you really believe that? How long before we find something conclusive? Never, if Richard has his way. I can't believe we aren't considering telling people. Telling Holly that HUFC can cause birth defects. But you weren't going to tell her, were you, Richard? Even though she's pregnant. It's your child.
So what do you propose, Richard?
Our proposal would be to rapidly expand our testing capacity, both above the tip and in the housing estate. And we would let everyone affected know what we were doing.
And compensate them?
If needs be, although I am advised that at the moment there are no legal grounds for compensation.
People will move out. They'll have to. Like Miss Thomas.
Holly is a special circumstance.
Oh, indeed she is.
Actually, she hasn't moved out. It's a very settled community. People like living there. And as far as we know, no one is ill. We thought about making an offer to buy the houses we think might be most affected. But if you offer to buy one, you have to offer to buy them all. And as it stands, there are no grounds for doing so.
Hence, presumably, in this, may I say, disastrous year-end forecast, the only provisions you seem to be making are for increased testing costs.
Yes. There are no claims as yet. Nothing to provide against.
But there are some significant restructuring costs.
Yes.
With no clever accounting this time?
Chairman, our first half results were reported in line with accepted accounting practice.
But your FD has resigned.
Susan, yes, for personal reasons.
As did one of your sales directors.
The one that is apparently pregnant with your child. Have we calculated what it would cost if we had to buy the whole estate, John?
We would never have to buy the whole estate. Worst case scenario, we think about 120 houses could be affected. Best case, 0. Average house price is around 350k. It's not Surrey.
Given the difficulty with all the assumptions and taking into account all relevant expenses, which of course I cannot predict with any accuracy, it would appear...
So around 40 million, plus costs.
And the reputational damage?
In my defence, I don't think I've done anything that you didn't ask me to do. Sure, I've driven the business hard, like you told me to. And sure, I've tried to cut costs with some success, and with good plans to do more. And yes, I've driven the finance guys hard, but nothing unacceptable, and nothing more than you've done, Alan, in your whole career. It's what you wanted me to do.
With respect, Richard, what the board asked you to do was to turn Leadgate around. And whatever else you've done, you haven't done that.
Yes, Alan, but I would be there already if it wasn't for certain
Holly Thomas and the rest.
I know, Alan, but that has nothing to do with the real business performance. That is legacy. Just give me time. A year, 12 months to finish the job. And if I fail, I will go. No payoff. Just go. I appreciate, of course, my future lies in your hands, and that the situation is far from ideal. I would, however, very much like the opportunity to put it right.
Anything else, Richard?
I think that's it, Alan.
Thanks, Richard. We'll be in touch.
You'll have to go, Alan.
You don't think we do more harm that way?
The shareholders will expect it, and so do I. If it's not him, it's you. And him.
Jane? Your view?
Funnily enough, I have some sympathy with him. I think he was doing what you wanted him to do in the only way he knew how.
I didn't expect him to go around impregnating the staff.
No, but you knew what he is, and you chose to prefer the good in him over the bad.
Up to a point. The environmental issue isn't his fault. Wrong time, wrong place.
It's still not clear that there is an environmental issue. I think there's a case for saying the environmentals have been handled quite well down the years. And the manager, David Blackett, hasn't resigned. He wants to see it through.
Not if he's going to go off on his own track. A lot of this mess is his fault.
Unless he's proved right, of course.
That's for the future. For now, Richard has to go. Agreed? One thing you'll realize, Jane, now you're working in a truly global business like Ninebanks, is the need to keep perspective and focus. There's always noise. The trick is not to let yourself be distracted.
It leaves Leadgate in a hell of a mess.
That's your job to fix, Alan.
It's not so bad. Put in an interim CEO, strip out the environmentals and sell it. The brands are still strong. Somebody will buy the market position. It's not core to Ninebanks.
Alan, it's for you to bring that to the board with any other alternatives. But I'm inclined to agree with Jane. In the meantime, can you please arrange for Moss to leave forthwith? I know he's your protege, but he has to go. And in my view, we should fire the bloody Blackett fellow, too. Going off on his own like that. And don't forget Project Bertrand, for Christ's sake, Alan. Get it done, please.
Yes, Chairman.
One more thing before we close.
Yes, Jane.
Nothing was ever proved against Richard. The accounting passed audit. The change to the environmental testing was clumsy but understandable. No harassment claim was ever substantiated. But we could have got to this earlier. Back in the Speak Up files are 2 complaints dating back more than 18 months. And there's a third that I can't find sent directly to you, Alan.
It was anonymous. Nothing I could do. Besides, I had other priorities like Project Bertrand. That kind of stuff sometimes just has to wait.
That kind of stuff? I think I know who sent 2 of those complaints. Susan Alagosa. Before Richard solved the problem by promoting her to FD and switching his attentions to Holly Thomas. But there were other complaints from earlier, too. Holly says there were several of them, but they were never investigated. And why not? Because you didn't want to know. It took Susan to help me realize that I was looking in the wrong place. I should have been looking at Ninebanks. I should have been looking at you.
So the health effects associated with methane and carbon dioxide. So methane and carbon dioxide are colourless, odourless gases. I'll talk about that later.
Nice to see you. Thanks, Peter.
One thing you'll realise, Jane, is the need to keep perspective and focus. There's always noise. The trick is not to let yourself be distracted.